trillion, up from Kenya shillings 8.6 trillion in August 2022 when William took over. Mr. William Ruto has borrowed in excess of 5 billion in excess of 5 trillion over the last 4 years. This regime, on a borrowing spree, borrows an average of 3.5 billion Kenya shillings daily and steals 3 billion shillings daily. Why borrow to steal? On average, this government steals from the people of Kenya 125 million shillings every hour. Calculated, this government is stealing every minute 2 million shillings from the people of Kenya. Dear Kenyans, the National Treasury has delayed disbursing the equitable share of revenue to counties. These cash flow delays have routinely stalled county operations, delayed staff salaries, and inflated pending bills to over 156 billion, despite legal mandates requiring timely monthly transfers. Misplaced priorities such as funding State House budget by 10 billion, building state lodges and airstrips has caused cash flow constraints. The strengthening, devolution, and improving the timely disbursement of funds was at the core of the Kenya Kwanza Covenant with the people of Kenya. Once again, this promise has been broken. Patriotic Kenyans, ladies and gentlemen, measured against the promise to lower the cost of living, improve access to affordable credit, and strengthen small businesses, the evidence presented suggests that many Kenyans have yet to experience the relief that was promised. Mr. William Ruto made an ambitious commitment to the people of Kenya. The promise was to place young people at the center of Kenya's economic transformation and restore hope to millions of young people seeking meaningful work. The population of Kenya is 75% youthful. The African Union has long urged African countries to harness this demographic dividend by investing in young people. It is therefore fitting that we assess one of the administration's flagship commitments, expanding credit opportunities to Kenyans' youth. The Kenya Kwanza administration promised to establish a 50 billion hustler fund to provide affordable credit to mama mboga, boda operators, mkokoteni operators, and other small-scale entrepreneurs. This commitment was to ease financial constraints, promote enterprise, and improve the livelihoods of ordinary Kenyans. Mr. William Ruto established the Hustler Fund, whose head and tail cannot be traced. As it were, the financing programs intended to support micro, small, and medium enterprises. The Hustler Fund is said to have disbursed 87 billion Kenya shillings to 28 million people. What a paradox. What a lie. I am yet to hear of anyone Kenyan saying that they have expanded their business courtesy of the Hustler Fund. Limiting the disbursement of funds to registered cooperatives would have probably made a greater economic impact and would have reduced the mobile loan default rate that is very high. I have raised fundamental questions on the effectiveness of the Hustler Fund. In March 2026, two officials from the China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation were deported from Kenya amid a high-stakes dispute that arose in Kenya shillings 30 billion Kenya Railway City tender. Upon seeking a statutory review of the procurement process, William Ruto and Kipchumba Murkomen deported the complainants' local agents, clearing the way for their preferred entity, China Road and Bridge Corporation, CRBC, a company that has bagged procurement tenders worth 1.2 Kenya trillion since, occasioned by a high cost of living, increased medical and education costs, and an unsustainable credit framework under the Hustler Fund and Women Enterprise Fund. The discontinuation of projects such as Linda Mama and Edu Afia have increased the cost of accessing healthcare and education services to women and their families. Mr. William Ruto has ignored Justice John Mativo's 2017 ruling and the former Chief Justice Maraga 2020 advisory to entitle a legislative framework and implement the two-thirds Jeta rule despite having a parliamentary majority. Patriotic Kenyans, the Kenya Kwanza commitment was to turn the housing challenge into an economic opportunity. They promised to build 250,000 houses every year. This was the promise. However, 4 years later, Mr. Ruto has fashioned and turned this into a conduit to steal public land and be the sole supplier of construction inputs, cement, steel, tiles, nails, and MDF panels that manufactures factories he has bought and acquired. The Affordable Housing Fund has collected over $1 billion since its inception. The State Department of Housing and Urban Development has conveniently ensured a low absorption rate of roughly 25% due to the staggered nature of construction phases and investments of proceeds in treasury bills, boards through CDN Bank. CDN Bank is today classified as Tier 2 medium-sized bank. It has graduated from Tier 3 status after achieving a market share of over 1% driven by deposits mobilized from Government of Kenya State Corporations, Social Health Authority, Nairobi City County Government, and the Affordable Housing Fund levies. CDN Bank is worth 95 billion in asset value, Kenya shillings 74 billion in customer deposit, and a reported 1.7 billion net profit in the year ending 2025. Compare this sudden change in fortunes with the 2022 financial year results. This bank had 42 billion Kenya shillings in assets, 30 billion in customer deposit, and a reported loss in the financial year ending 2022. Since William Ruto bought it, you can see the transformation. This housing scheme is nothing but a personal business that guarantees the exclusive single source offtake of steel, MDF panels, nails, iron sheets, tiles, cement by factories owned by William Ruto and his allies. The levy proceeds are the reason why CDN Bank deposits have increased tenfold for the 4 years. If it were a genuine program, why is it being forced down citizens' throat? There was no promise to raise the payslip of the Kenyan worker in the name of a punitive housing levy. Private businesses must be left to do their work as the government does its work. It's important that the workers of Kenya know that monies deducted from their payslip is invested in CDN Bank owned by William Ruto, who is collecting the profit. In my view, and as expressed before, the affordable housing scheme should be made optional to Kenyans to allow them to participate at their own free will. Fellow Kenyans, Mr. William Ruto had promised that within 30 days of his presidency, he would establish a quasi-judicial public inquiry to establish the extent of cronyism and state capture in the nation and make recommendations. Unfortunately, over the last 4 years, Mr. William Ruto himself has captured the state. He has focused on centralizing control of independent constitutional commissions, state entities, public sector procurement, and unwarranted sale of strategic national assets. All these measures are aimed at achieving the sole objective of enriching William Ruto at the expense of 55 million Kenyans. It should be noted that William Ruto has achieved the milestone of being certified as a US dollars billionaire in a record 4-year courtesy of looting Kenyan public coffers. Mr. William Ruto's 4 years in office has accomplished a mission of driving Kenyan entrepreneurs out of business. Contractors are out of business. Traders are out of business. William Ruto has captured all businesses and he's in competition with the Kenyans that he leads. He has used his office to flex muscles on traders. Where he has not pushed, his conduit CRBC has come in. Mr. William Ruto has investments in virtually every sector of Kenya's economy, namely banking and finance through CDN Bank, investment banking through Rock Investment Bank, a CMA license issued in 2026, and is the fund manager of NSSF and PSSF pension funds, insurance through Amaco, capital markets through ZD Platform, hospitality through Weston Hotel and Ritz Carlton in the Mara, cement through the various companies that he bought, including Baburi and East African Portland Cement, betting through SportsPesa, Sportbet and Betika, aviation through Kwale Island Development, healthcare through Nairobi West Hospital, telecommunication through East African Device Assembly Limited, oil and energy through Gulf Energy and oil marketing companies, energy gas through Taifa Gas, construction, farming, currency security, he has recently bought Daru, transport, he has even gone into the matatu business. He now has over 100 matatus in Nairobi, agriculture, poultry, minerals, gold prospecting in Aboseli, Logorian, Transmara, DRC, including in Darfur. Literally, all business people in Kenya have been driven out of business by William Ruto. The Parliament of Kenya has failed in its legislative oversight and representative role. Its members, except the few who hang around with me, are on record boasting how they are paid for everything that they pass in Parliament. I must remind all parliamentarians that they are accomplices to criminal acts. Under the archaic leadership of the UDA with winger Moses Wetangula, the National Assembly is one of the major causes of the suffering of Kenyans by passing bad laws like the Finance Bill 2024, whose provisions were later sneaked through amendments and omnibus legislation.